Hi there peeps, this is Stuart from Marshall Music and this is another episode of Stu Speaks With. And tonight we got a really amazing guitar player, musician in general, by the name of Martin Schofield.
Thank you, Stu.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, great to be here.
Martin
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, pleasure. Martin,
I actually begged to be on the show. I phoned Stu and said, please can I be on your gear show? I'm not joking.
And I said you're on the list. You know, I was going to call you. Yeah, I
No, but thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. Martin, over the years, has played for such bands as WONDERboom, Eight-Legged Groove Machine back in the old days, Martin Rocker and the Six Shop, Flash Republic, Louise Carver. Who have I missed out? I mean,
Zulu Boy.
Zulu Boy. He's sessioned for a whole bunch of people. Too many to mention. He was musical director for Idols.
Don't hold that against me. Moving on.
We won't talk about that.
No. Now you've made a thing out of it. You're going to have to talk about it.
We can. Okay. Tell us about your early years of growing up in music and what kind of music you digged as a lighty.
Yeah, it's the first. Well, it's clear as day to me. The first vinyl I ever held in my hands that was mine. I always loved music. I was probably 6 years old, and I held Adam and Ant's Prince Charming in my hand for the first time, and it was my album. It was the first album I had. That thing went to bed with me.
6 years old, that's
quite
impressive.
weird, a guy in makeup going to bed with you at 6 years old. However, did influence me quite a bit. But yeah, man, Adam and the Ants was a big thing for me. I kind of got this weird, like I understood they were this weird pop band, but they had this real authentic punky edge for me. Even at 6 years old, I was like, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It was probably the videos and the image and everything as well at that age, you know. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, I Love Rock and Roll. I can remember getting into trouble in grade 1 for having I Love Rock and Roll written on my case with a silver marking pen, and I got
you started
into
early, eh?
I started terribly early. Thanks to my mum and dad. There's no musicians in my family forever. If you've ever heard my music, you'll know why. No musicians.
He's not old school, he's unschooled.
Unschooled, yeah. No musicians in my family. Come from a long line of Yorkshire coal miners. And it was just, I don't know, it's just something I turned on to. I also don't look like anyone in my family. Mum, we must talk.
Milkman?
Milkman, yeah. So I was actually brought to South Africa
when was that?
In the late 70s, okay, by my folks who were both printers. And at the time, anyway, South African government, national government, was trying to get as many European faces they could for the voting system and whatever. And we ended up staying a very long time. My folks were always into music, Bread, Stones, Beatles. There was always far more Stones in my house than Beatles. Elvis and Stones, that was the vibe. My dad was like, nah, that's real rock and roll, you know. He's like, even Elvis is a bit manufactured, but the Stones, you know. And I just remember being profoundly touched by music from a very young age.
When did you pick up guitar?
To the point of obsession. I played drums first for a year and a half. God bless my parents again.
Which is great.
I just came home and I was like, listen, I need to do this thing. And they were like, okay. And there was a music shop in Krugersdorp run by people called Minky and Ben. And I bought the drum kit for 159 Rand.
Wow.
Or my dad bought the drum kit for 159 Rand. And I literally sat on it the first thing and I went, boof, ga, boof, boof, ga. And I was like, okay, cool, that sounds like something, you know. And I think they were also a bit like, oh, okay, that sounds like something. And a year and a half later, I went home after some Standard 5 thing with a friend of mine, and he had got the Strat copy, and we sat down in his room in Florida, and he went down, 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 Peter Gunn theme, and I was like, I need to do that. I need to do it.
Way cooler.
On the very same day, His brother was in the Merchant British Navy. His brother had arrived from England with Nevermind the Bollocks, the Sex Pistols, one of the Clash albums, which I can't remember what it was now, and a Violent Femmes album, Blind Leading the Naked.
Yeah, yeah.
And on that same day, I heard those 3 albums.
Oh, wow.
That was me forever done punk out,
Yeah.
done. That was my calling card then. That was my point of reference. That was my thing.
Best album to learn guitar to is Nevermind the Bollocks.
Never mind the bollocks.
Absolutely.
It's like 3 chords. Those 3. It doesn't matter that it's 3 chords.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me anyway. But it sounded cool. It
Yeah.
felt cool. It felt dangerous and rebellious to me, and I was in.
Done.
I was in. Never mind the bollocks. I think the next year I had my first pair of Doc Martens, and my parents were just like, "Okay, let's
You're on your own.
you go for it."
What was your first band that you got into?
First band was a school band with Gavin Vinant from
Of
Sugar
Sugar
Drive,
Drive
bass
fame,
player
yeah.
from Sugar Drive, and Mark Cooksey, who played drums in Eight Legged Groove Machine.
Yeah,
He was now in the
right.
movie industry a long time ago.
Yeah.
And we were 15, obsessed with the Cult and Guns N' Roses, fake leather pants and leather jackets, anything that resembled a Les Paul, that was good enough.
Yeah.
You know? And we were already doing school shows and gigs
Okay,
and stuff. And yeah, I was very lucky from a young age, I suppose, where, as you were, and a lot of us were, where you know. And if you can do this, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I was lucky that it was never a question for me. And then, went on to study music in England. I left school here in standard 9.
Okay.
Stay in school, kids. I left school here in standard 9. I was like, I'm not going to the army. I need to grow my hair and rock and roll.
And grow your hair, you did.
Jeez, it was terrible.
It was down to your bum, wasn't it?
It was terrible. It was like the biggest, reddest mane of untamed dreadlockness. If I used to go to a festival and not brush it for 3 days, I used to come home with dreads, you know?
Right, so what we're going to do now is, right about now, we're going to edit in a photo of Martin
with her.
And
Lion's
mane
mane
of red hair.
Red hair, yeah.
It's popping up on your screen right about now. Right.
Now you're laughing at me. And so I went to England, Barnsley College of Technology, which is in North Yorkshire. That's a lie, it's in West Yorkshire. It's in the north of England. And I really had my ego smashed there, because I was already in school bands, girls, leather, Guns N' Roses, the Cult, hair.
Thought you were the business.
On the business. And within about 0.5 seconds of arriving at that college in England, I had my ego crushed, and I was humbled into the ground in 5 seconds with the pure talent of these kids that had no image, never played in bands. They'd literally come from schools, but they'd been playing and listening to classical music or jazz or swing band stuff from when they were this high. And most of the college were brass students, so they were serious musicians. They weren't long-haired dossing guitar players. Like, yay. They were like musos. So I quickly learned to step up. And I quickly learned that it's going to have to be theory and reading and knowing all that shit, and the image and the rock thing and the hanging out on corridors smoking cigarettes and that had to go. That had to go. And I was happy that it went. But that was, I was really angry with my folks at the time, because I thought I had my whole life sorted when I was 16, and then I kind of had to go overseas. But looking back, it was the best thing ever for me, was going into like royal school stuff on that level, from a South African apartheid schoolboy to suddenly that kind of level of music education where you just had to step up.
And then, so you came back after that?
Yes.
Joined Eight Legged Groove Machine.
Met Wade Williams, who's still WONDERboom's bass player, through a mutual girlfriend we had.
Yeah. And then how did that morph into WONDERboom? Tell us that story.
Okay, so Wade and myself and a guy, Damien Potter, we played in a band called Eight Legged. We discovered Sido playing in a band called Moonchild. His band were rubbish and our singer was rubbish. So we were like, hey, this could be very interesting. Can we have you and you can have us? And that was Eight-Legged. That was the real Eight-Legged Groove Machine thing when Pseudo joined. And that band only happened for about a year. We met Danny then, who at the time owned a club in Braamfontein called Wings. And we got together with him and we experimented with a few other members and this and that. And literally 4 or 5 months later, it was WONDERboom in February 96.
96. Wow.
And
22 years you guys have been together.
22 years WONDERboom's been together. It's been a wild ride, you know, like I always joke or say to people, but it's just true. We've been famous 3 times in this country already, you know. Like there are times when like you ride up top there and people are like, wow, I love WONDERboom. And then other times people are like, sorry, what's your name again?
Well, brilliant. And just by the way, guys, WONDERboom are opening for what are they called?
What are they called? They're an American band.
American
guy with the
band.
hair, Les Paul, top hat, singer with red hair.
I don't know.
I'll tell you now.
The band / plays for them.
Yeah.
Anyway, WONDERboom are opening for them.
Guns N' Roses. That's what they were called. They're American guys. Yeah.
29th of November.
29th November, Soccer City.
Soccer City. Catch WONDERboom opening for Guns N' Roses. That should be pretty cool.
That's a big one for us.
That's pretty cool.
That's a big one for us.
That's very nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And apparently it's their like second last gig ever. Durban will be their last gig ever.
There's no Durban.
There's no Durban.
No, there's just Joburg.
So I heard
there's one support band and one show on the African continent.
And it's their last ever gig.
Yeah. It's the last one on that tour.
So high five.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's okay. Every rock guitarist, I don't care what they say, every rock guitarist owes some debt to that band.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Just amazing, you know.
Wow. Rad.
So yeah, that's a cool one for us, you know.
And then now tell us, let's talk a little bit about your gear.
Yeah.
You are a Gretsch aficionado, shall we say?
Yeah, I'm a gear. That's weird. I'm a gearhead. You know this, but there's people out there. I'm a gearhead, but I'm not a.
You're not a snob.
I'm not the 4K in this pickup doesn't quite ring lacquer with my. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
I love gear though. Love guitars. There's certain guitars that
How many pedals have you got?
Shut up, man. You made me sound like a whore.
Roughly.
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know.
How many pedals he's got. That means he's got a lot.
Yeah, no, I genuinely don't know. Anyone who's seen my collection or bits of it knows that I don't even know.
Okay.
There's a lot of pedals. I love pedals. Love gear. I never mod gear. Ever. Being a gearhead, I think people expect, it's like, okay, so did you change this with it? Only if something's not working for me live or in a studio situation or on the road will I change it.
I kind of agree with that as well.
Yeah, but like I'd rather than put a coil tap on a Les Paul, which to me is like buying a pit bull and then taking all its teeth out. I'd rather buy a Strat then or a Telly and use that, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm not a big one for modding stuff. My main Gibson Les Paul Custom, which has been my main WONDERboom guitar for 20 years now.
We know that guitar well.
That guitar.
What a guitar.
That guitar is just amazing. That guitar is just amazing. Being battered to death. That's a testimony to Les Pauls and how they're made. And to me, I just pick up any Les Paul, and if it's got kind of a decent setup on and the right kind of gauge strings. We're just talking about my standard as well. My custom's been refretted, so I've had the standard on the road for the last 5 months. And when I look down on stage sometimes I forget. I forget. It's as long as it's that Les Paul feel and that weight and that thickness and that string gauge, I'm happy, you know?
Yeah. So with WONDERboom, that's your main guitar?
So yeah, it depends what I'm doing as to what gear I love.
Let's talk about WONDERboom rig.
WONDERboom rig, okay. Let's talk about WONDERboom rig quickly. Right. Les Paul Custom, 1992. I've had it since 98. I bought it brand new in 98. Then amps, I'm not a purist on any level at all. People are like, what? I love small valve amp combos. The PV Classic is a big one for me. Love it. TSL Marshall.
That's been the main one, eh? A Marshall.
The Marshall TSL. Every time I record stuff and blind test stuff in the studio with Faree or whatever, he goes, there was 5 amps with this, whatever. There was a Hughes and Kettner, there was a Fender Hot Rod, there was my TSL, there was another couple of some boutique thing he's got there, and blah, blah, blah. And we're listening to it, and every time we listen to stuff blindly back in the studio, he goes, and I go, yeah, that one. He goes, it's the Marshall. So obviously that's what appeals to my ear, whatever it is. It really appeals to my sound, my ear. With the Les Paul, that's the rock and roll combo, you know.
It works. And in between,
pedals? In between pedals, okay, like digital stuff generally, and you know, for people out there, don't phone me with any digital problems. I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about your multi-effects. I don't know anything about spaceships. But I do use some digital gear. But okay, so on my WONDERboom board, which is the main board that I use, sometimes again depends on the application, the situation. But the main board is very simple. I have, funny enough, I had Paul from Parlotones round at my place the other day, and he was like, "Oh man, your board is really small and simple, but like
Paul's really isn't, is it?
Paul's is massive." He goes, "But you extract some real weirdness out of this little thing." So what I have is, I've always had a Digitech whammy on my board. That is my multi-effects. That is a thing I love. That is a thing that I abuse, and I've always had them, and I can't do a WONDERboom gig without a whammy.
Yeah.
So whammy, and then it goes into my OCD, full tone OCD. Full tone is, that's the bomb for me.
Yeah.
You can buy them anywhere, well, except here.
Anywhere in the world apart from
South Africa. They're really easy to fix. There's nothing complicated about a full tone pedal. I even open them up and I can tell you what's happening inside.
And you're a
them.
dummy.
And I'm a complete dummy. Yeah. I use Mac stuff. I mean, very American like that. But the full tone stuff is amazing. So full tone OCD. From there into full tone full drive 3, which is my light overdrive, my mild overdrive, and my boost.
Yeah.
From there into other big soft love for me is the Strymon stuff. When I discovered it, and bless you guys for bringing that stuff in. That changed the game for me. A Strymon Flint is the Fender Twin in a box, man. It really is. I put that into the front of any clean amp, and I've got any surf music, James Bond vibes that I desire in the whole world.
That syrupy tremolo. Oh,
it's so wicked. Ambient stuff, the verbs in that. I don't need to buy the big Strymon. Just in the Flint alone is enough for me personally.
Great pedal.
It's so beautiful. From that into the Strymon timeline. Now, anyone who knows me from WONDERboom stuff knows delays have always been part of my sound and big part of what I do. So the Strymon timeline, when I found it, was the best thing. It was the best thing. A programmable delay that I can also go down onto the floor at the end of a show and oscillate the crap out of it and do all that stuff, just an analog pedal, and then come to the gig next time, plug it in, and everything's as it was. I can name song patches. So in terms of digital stuff, not a huge fan, but the Strymon stuff, man.
Next level, yeah.
So TC Electronics, also quite cool. I love their tuners.
Yeah.
But that's it for my WONDERboom board. It's 5 pedals.
Okay.
But that's a world for me in there. I can really extract. And I'm not a type of guy who will have programmed stuff throughout a song, because I like to go down. Live and studio are different things to me. Different zones, different parts of the world, you know. So I like to be able to go down, even in the middle of a song, change up a setting, put my foot on the Flint's reverb mix and crank it up at the end of a song, you know. So that's why the analog thing has always worked for me. But the mixture of the Strymon full tone Digitech stuff, that's for me. And again, not for everyone.
Yeah. Okay, tell us quickly about the Martin Rocker and the Six Shop setup.
So Martin Rocker and the Six Shop setup, 3-piece rockabilly band, no frills rock and roll. if there's, I actually had a meeting with the guys once, and I was like, guys, I've got this song, but there's a fourth chord. And they were like, no. No. That's too fancy. Use that in your other bands. I was like, okay. So
let's scrap that.
It's bare bones, bare bones, just crazy psychobilly rock and roll. So Gretches are the only tool for me in that.
What Gretsch are you using in that mostly?
Okay, I use only the Brian Sesser 6120 Nashville in that. That is my Gretsch with the most mojo, the one I feel closest to. Hot rods, because it's really a 61.
How many Gretches have you got?
A few. So the hot rod is really nice because it's a 6120 stripped.
Yeah.
Also, while my Les Paul's been fixed, I've been using the Silver Jet in WONDERboom.
Lovely.
Which is great for the airy stuff. Not as much sustain as the Les Paul for some things. So you come short live sometimes in front of the amp tuning.
Those are my favorite Gretches. So.
They're amazing. They're amazing. The White Falcon, which I always wanted as a youth. That was like, when I get a White Falcon, then I've arrived, you know? Because so many of my heroes played White Falcons.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't have the mojo that my Brian Setzer 6120 has. So are those of you about to spend 90 grand on a Gretsch, play it first.
Yeah.
Play it first. People get weirded out by Gretsch. They get completely weirded out. I've had so many people go, they've seen me playing them or whatever, and they're like, wow, amazing, want one. And I'm like, cool, but play one first.
Make sure. Play it for a long time.
A long time.
Yeah.
They're weird things.
Yeah.
They're funny things.
Yeah.
And people get weirded out. They pick them up and they've just paid 90 grand for this thing that feels like an odd ship acoustic, a cruise ship acoustic or something. They're like, what? But if you think of the sound of rock and roll, think of Malcolm Young.
Yeah.
People go AC/DC, SG. No. AC/DC, Gretsch.
Yeah.
Rock and roll, Gretsch.
Yeah.
Izzy Stradlin, Guns N' Roses back in the day, Gretsch.
Yeah.
Billy Duffy, the Cult, Gretsch.
Yeah.
Neil Young.
And of course all the old rock stuff from the 50s, yeah.
Oh, going back there. So yeah, with rocker, the 6120, and then guys just die, gearheads just die when I tell them what amp I use with that. The guys go flat. I use a Roland Cube 80 most of the time, all the time.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
You shut up, you snob. It is one of the greatest inventions.
No, they are.
On this planet.
Even I have to admit, it's a good amp. It
it's
really
a good
is.
amp. So for rock, I use no pedals.
You know they've discontinued that amp.
I know, it's so sad. It's
Crazy.
so sad for me. I collect them. I have a few, just in case.
I know, you phone me all the time saying,
Stu, is there any Cube 80? But the Cube 80, there's a little magic on it, which I'm not going to say, for rocker, setting-wise and just how I jimmy it. But, yeah.
You put that black goop on the top of the amps, the settings.
Yeah, I put a black cloth over so no one can see, like a shrine, you know. But I like to keep it as minimal as possible. I don't have any pedals whatsoever.
Yeah.
It is a 6120 into the front end of a Roland 80 Cube, and I use the master volume control for solos. Done.
Nice.
That is all rocker shows. Engineers kind of fall over when they go, you're not going to play this arena or this festival with that. I'm like, I am. Yeah. Mic it up and hide it behind the marshals.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know how many guys do that?
Tons.
More
and
than
tons
you
and
think.
tons.
Oh, absolutely.
So, but again, depends on application. Flash Republic. I because of the thick dance music stuff, mega sub bass and lots of thick muddy tones, the telly for me was the thing then. Because it just sliced through all that stuff, quacking along, you know, like just cutting through all that sub-dancey stuff.
Yeah.
And then that Flash Republic album that I recorded, Twister, which was the album before, and then Killer Moves, the album after, that was all done with a Line 6 floor pod, straight to desk. Tellies,
wow.
Mexican telly and an American telly. That album, that's what it was recorded with. And 2 European tours was a
cool.
old Line 6 floor pod, straight to desk, and they were just like, that's the sound. And I was like, fantastic. This is how I need to tour. One guitar bag and something this big, a kidney shape with a wah-wah pedal on the side. I was like, great, this is me. This rock and roll 4x12s, you can keep it. Funny thing is, you get a lot of gearheads, you know, where they're like, it's got to be this and it's got to be that. That album, Pop, dance music, I probably saw more royalties on than any other album, and I used
There you go.
the cheapest bottom of the line gear.
Well,
Say it again, Line 6. I'm a huge Line 6 fan. I've always had Line 6 gear.
Yeah.
They're Variax acoustics. Their delay is one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean,
Line 6 delays.
as good as anything.
For anyone out there, the swell delay on Line 6 stuff is the bomb if you're playing dub reggae. Anyway.
Well, on that point of
Yes.
you making the most royalties off the sort of most low end gear, what is your advice to youngsters starting out in terms of getting into a band and just some general musical advice for lighties today?
For anyone, I think my biggest thing is make music for the right reasons.
Okay.
And your life will be quite simple.
In terms of
don't do it because you think you're going to be famous or rich, or
do it with
you
honesty
think you're going to get free beer, or but if you do want to play for free beer, like when you go to your guitar teacher or your music teacher, tell them, listen, teach me the songs that will get me free beer. Like, be honest about why you're playing. Yeah. Or, I need to get laid. Can you show me all the panty removing rock ballads? And then learn that, but be honest why you're playing. Yeah. Also, don't follow musical trends. That's the death nail. For me, that's a death nail of bands.
Play the music you love, even though it may not be trendy at the moment.
It may not be trendy at the moment. Yeah. Or find a way to
that's integrity and honesty.
To make what you like trendy, Yeah. And it will, and it has been to my personal and WONDERboom's detriment sometimes, making honest music and not following trends. And you will look sometimes and go, oh man, why are they doing covers of the top 20 EDM hits and they're making like 10 times more than we are a night? That's fine. But then go and do that. But you're going to have not much of a legacy left behind. Yeah. Yeah. So just make whatever you decide. There's no right or wrong. For me, there was a right or wrong path. And the right path was, luckily for me, to play music, do what I do, enjoy it with my bands and my friends. And I've been very lucky with that as well. Yeah. And I'll just tell people, or anyone listening who cares out there, is you gotta enjoy your people, enjoy your team. You're going to spend a lot of time on the road with them. Don't pick a player because he can shred 15 million notes a minute, or he's got the coolest hairstyle, or whatever. Like, you're going to be stuck to that dude for a long time,
Although Sito always has the coolest hairstyle.
Sito always has the coolest hair, but
he's got great hair.
He's my work wife. I expect my work wife to look good. Chicks don't come to the shows, WONDERboom shows, to look at me. Those are the guys who come to watch this. The chicks come to see Sito's hair.
Truth, brother, truth. All right, listen, we've run out of time.
No, but thank you for having me down.
No, pleasure. Great. I could talk to you for like 4 hours, but maybe next time.
Next time we'll do some more gear stuff.
Cool. Guys, okay, so click in the links in the description below for links to all of Martin's bands and projects and stuff. And catch Martin, he's playing all over the country. I mean...
we're on the Best Side Story tour at the moment as WONDERboom, which is like an unplugged thing.
Brilliant.
All little theatres. Then Guns N' Roses.
Guns N' Roses on the 29th, be there.
And then December, we've got a 3-weeker around the coast.
Brilliant.
So...
Okay.
Catch us on the coast.
Social media, or just watch WONDERboom on social media. Follow them
at WONDERboom Band, Facebook page, Instagram at WONDERboom Band. Come and like us, come to a house and come to a show and give us some of your hard-earned money.
Are you still teaching, by the way?
I do. I teach some select people that I want to teach. Yeah. I'm done with the days of like 40 a week or whatever.
So if you see or deem yourself worthy of Martin's time, he will audition you for select lessons.
It's not really the case. I won't audition, but yeah, man. If you really have a passion or whatever, or a certain style, I teach a lot of celebrities. You know this. Yeah. I teach a lot of people who are in bands that are way more famous than my band. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. But we don't mention that in public. But you don't have to be famous, or you don't have to be an amazing player or whatever. If you've got a real passion for music, I'm down with you.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Okay, cool. That's all for now, guys. Thanks for being with us, and thank you, Martin, for sharing your time with us. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate being here.
That's all for now, guys. Cheers.